What's up YouTube? It's Big from Blue Line Morphs. Today's video, I'm going to give you some tips on how to get these stubborn ball pythons eaten. Alright, so your ball python won't eat. First and foremost, relax. Alright, they're finicky eaters, right? When we first started, not we, but when ball pythons first started coming over from Africa, they were known for being terrible eaters, right? That's just how they are. That's probably the biggest downfall of the ball pythons, is they're a pain in the ass to feed. The boa, the retic, anything goes in the cage, it's over. With the ball pythons, they can be a pain in the ass. So I'm gonna break this video down in two sections. The first section is just gonna be things to make sure they're actually correct. What has to do with your ball pythons could be affecting why they're eating, why they're not eating. And then if all that's good, then some tips on how to get them to start eating again in the first place. I just wanted to apologize. Yesterday's video sucked. The microphone, I have this little kit that I got on Amazon. I understand like it was picking up the road sound and stuff. I'm going to have that fixed. So if you sat through yesterday's video about my rant on like the reptile community, I apologize. I know it sucked. It won't happen again. I'm going to fix it. Like, subscribe, all that crap. Anyway, so the first thing I want you to look to if your ball python is not eating is where'd you get it from? If you got an older snake or you got a snake that's a juvenile, wherever you got that snake from, look how they were feeding it, right? Something as simple as I've heard, I haven't experienced this, but it could be feeding white rodents opposed to black rodents, and this could be affecting eating. So you want to find out how this snake ate before you purchased them. Were you trying to feed this snake live, or on its whole life it was eating frozen thawed, or vice versa, right? Was this snake on was this snake on frozen thawed, and then you try to switch over to live and doesn't know what's going on? So just check back to the breeder you got it from. If you picked up on Craigslist, wherever you got it from, check back and ask them how they've been feeding it, and then keep that going. Don't try to switch it up on the snake. Even if you want to switch it up eventually, don't do it right away. The snake's already set in its ways. You can switch it up later on. How old is the snake? Are you trying to feed an older snake too much? Big Mama here, she's an adult. She's my big normal. She can eat every 10 days. If I try to feed her every 3 days, she's probably not going to eat. With that being said, the younger snakes are going to eat every 4 to 5 days. And keep in mind, too, that if you're trying to feed a younger snake frozen thawed, most of your hatchlings are only going to eat live hopper mice. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to, if you don't want to feed it live, but you have a hatchling, you're going to have to feed it live hopper mice. What time of the year is it? Are you trying to feed these snakes when it's breeding season for them, right? Around that July, August, September-ish mark, some of your older males might shut down on you, along with your females. So if you're noticing, now a lot of guys that have snakes throughout a couple of years, a lot of guys and girls will have snakes over the years, the same snake, they'll realize that, oh shit, this male shuts down for these 3 months, these 4 months, or this female shuts down. So be aware of that. Maybe your snake's not eating because it's that time of the year. They're trying to get freaky with another snake. They're not going to eat right now. Is it in shed? Look at your snake. A lot of my snakes won't eat in shed. With that being said, some of them will eat in shed no matter what. They'll take anything down. So check them out. Everyone knows how to look at a snake in shed, right? Its eyes will be blue. It'll start getting dull on you. If the snake's in shed, it's probably not going to eat. All right? So the fifth thing, and this is probably the most important thing to check before you start freaking out, is look at the how the snake's being kept. Look at the substrate, look at the heat, look at the humidity, okay? Sometimes some snakes, like I have a normal pied, she's a pain in the ass. If I have her on paper towels or I have her on unprinted newspaper, she shuts down on me. I almost got to keep her on the cocoa. I got to keep her on the aspen. Otherwise, she won't eat. So it could be the husbandry. So if you're having issues, change the substrate up. Switch over to cocoa. Maybe switch over to paper towels. Switch it up. See if your snake responds. The second thing is check your heat tape. If you have an rack system like I have, or you're having a heat pad, check it with a heat gun. A heat gun like the one I have right over there. You get it on Amazon for real cheap, like 20 bucks. Check the heat. Maybe the temperatures are inadequate. If the temperatures are inadequate, they may not respond to feed good enough. And the third thing is check the humidity. These snakes are African snakes, right? The humidity is always very high. So if your humidity is not high enough, if you have a tub, you should see water, like condensation on the inside of the tub when you open it up. You should feel it with your hands. If you're not having the proper substrate, the heat, and the humidity, it could cause your snake to kind of go into a funk, and that can cause it to have eating issues. That being said, if you check everything out and your snake looks healthy, there's nothing really wrong with your snake, no mites, no respiratory infection, etc., then you might want to try these couple tips to try to trick them into eating. The first thing is they are nocturnal animals, right? So if you're trying to feed your snake at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, maybe 12 o'clock in the afternoon, just because it's good for you doesn't mean it's good for the snake. So maybe try to switch that up. Maybe let's try to feed these snakes later at night when they're more active, right? I can hear them in my tubs. During the day, not a lot of noise. Now, I keep my snakes on printed newspapers. You can hear them moving around. Once it's midnight now, but once 9, 10 o'clock at night rolls around, these snakes become more active, they start moving around. So try to feed them maybe at night to try to coincide with their nocturnal nature, okay? If you're feeding them frozen thawed and they're not taking it, try to switch over to live. Now, I know a lot of people don't like feeding live. I understand that. In my last video, I explained how I feel terrible about feeding live rats. It's Mother Nature. It is what it is. If your snake isn't eating frozen thawed, maybe it's time to switch over to live. Try it. See what happens. It might respond better to the live animal. You can always try to switch back over to frozen thawed later on, but it's more important to get your snake eating. With that being said, if you're feeding it, let's say, a large rat or a medium-sized rat, and they're not taking it, I've had my snakes where even though they can take down this medium-sized rat or this larger rat, they're kind of spooked by it. The rat, they're interested. The rat walks past, they kind of move back, they get a little freaked out. Maybe try to feed it smaller prey. All right? Maybe if it can take down a medium, let's buy it a small, all right? Let's make it feel more secure in eating the rat that's not overwhelmed by a larger animal. Another thing we can do is the African soft furs. Now, I know a lot of people can't get in contact with the African soft fur rats. If you can, that's great. I'm fortunate enough where I can get a Country Critters to always have them on deck, ready to go. Now, these are like crack for these snakes. For some reason, my snakes always respond really, really, really well to them. Now, I'm not saying you have to get, if you have 5 snakes to feed, you have to buy 5 African soft furs. What I used to do is kind of trick all my snakes into eating them, is I would ask Country Critters to put an African soft fur in there, and then a bunch of small rats or a bunch of regular medium rats. Because these snakes do smell these things, obviously use their tongue, etc. They do smell it. So if these other rats smell these African soft fur, it kind of tricks them into eating, okay? So that's another thing you can do. Try to get your hands on African soft furred rats. And if you don't want to spend a little bit more money, if you don't want to spend it on to feed 5, 10, maybe have 20 snakes, whatever the case may be, throw one in a tank, not a tank, but the box you're bringing it home, throw one in and make the other one smell like it. And then what you can do also is if you're having a snake that's shutting down you is to feed it live mice. For some reason, ball pythons, now, they love eating mice. To me, that's the last resort. Why? Because if you have a 100-gram mouse and a 100-gram rat, that snake is going to get much more nutrients and grow bigger or be healthier with a 100-gram rat. They have more protein, more fats, they're just better. Mice just don't carry the same nutritional value for your snake, if you will. But if your snake's not eating, a mouse is better than no rat, right? So that's another thing you can do is try to switch over to mice for a little bit and see if it kind of kickstarts them into eating. For some reason, the African soft fur and the mice, it really gets them going. At the end of the day, though, guys, ball pythons are known for being finicky eaters, okay? It's just their thing. That's one of the downfalls for them. However, don't get alarmed. These snakes can go 3, 4, 5, 6 months. I've heard them going a year, a little bit over a year without eating. Not a big deal. Don't get alarmed. Don't freak out. Make sure the heat's right. Make sure the husbandry's right. Make sure the humidity is right. Make sure they got water, and they'll probably just be fine. One thing I would do is just keep track of the weight, okay? I've had snakes go off a feed, especially the Coral Glow that I sold this all. I've had him go off a feed for 3 or 4 months, and he maintained his weight. So I'm not worried about it. Look at your snakes. Know what your snakes look like. If you notice, all right, they're starting to get a little skinny, they're starting to lose a little bit of weight, then there's an issue going on, all right? But at the end of the day, these snakes can go, again, months and months and months without eating. So it's not overly a big deal. Don't get concerned about it. However, pay attention to your snake's weight. Pay attention to how they look. If they look like shit, get them checked out by a vet, right? You don't want your snake dying and not eating. So just to reiterate, check how the snake's being kept. Make sure they're good to go. Make sure the humidity, everyone knows the temperatures, the humidity, et cetera, et cetera. Make sure everything's good. The husbandry, the substrate in the tank, make sure that's good. That could be affecting them. See where you got the snake from, all right? It could be that they're used to live, they're used to frozen thawed, you're switching up, you're screwing them over, you're freaking them out a little bit. Could be that time of the year, guys. They could just be interested in mating and not really want to eat. So So that's about it. That's the end of today's video. Just ball pythons suck at eating. It is what it is. Sometimes I have snakes. Now here's the other thing. One more thing. Everyone knows about the 1,000-gram wall. Now, all my females that I had growing up, I got 6 or 7 females that are grown, getting ready to go. They busted from 200 grams straight through 900 grams like nobody's business. They were hammering rats. Now they're starting to slow down. So if you're hitting that 1,000-gram wall, that's natural. We got to push through that. Keep offering. Keep trying. If you got to feed live, you got to feed live. I'm sure I listed a lot of things. There's other things people can offer. Guys, if you want to add some stuff, comment in the comments section. I probably forgot a couple of things. These are my main tips. I'm not perfect. I'm not always right. But this is what I've seen really help me trying to get these finicky ball pythons to eat. So that's it. End of today's video, guys. Be safe. Always watch your six.